My name is Logan Reed, and for 21 years I believed routine could hold a marriage together. My wife, now ex and all but paperwork, was Diana Mercer Reed, a high school English teacher who could quote Frost in the cereal aisle and correct a comma with one eyebrow. We raised her 2 kids from her first marriage together, Kelsey, 26, and Aiden, 24. They call me Dad. I never asked for that honor. They decided I'd earned it. Friday night was our ritual. No screens, no multitasking, just the 2 of us and whatever I managed not to burn. That night it was lasagna, a rare victory. We were talking about a student's essay she loved, something about a paper boat on a river, and how the kid had turned a field trip into philosophy. Diana laughed, bright and warm, and then, like she was changing radio stations, she said, "I should tell you I've been seeing someone from work." The fort didn't fall. It hovered. The soundtrack of the kitchen changed. The fridge hum turned into sirens. I heard my own voice ask the most ordinary question in the world. "What do you mean?" She looked right at me, pupils glassy, hands trembling. His name is Tyler Vance. He coaches track. We started getting coffee after school, walking the river trail. It made me feel light. It's not love. It's a spark. I didn't want to keep it from you. A spark. The word sounded like a match scraping on my ribs. "You're telling me this," I said, steady as I could, "because you're stopping, or because you want me to sign off on it?" Diana exhaled, and I recognized the breath, the one she took before saying something she practiced in the car mirror. "I'm telling you because I don't want secrets. I'm 56. Time is loud. He makes me feel noticed. It's not meant to last. She swallowed. I don't want to lose us. There are moments in a marriage where you can hear 2 futures click, like doors choosing which one will latch. My chest felt hollow and full at once. A wave of memories hit. Courthouse vows. Kelsey's braces the same month the transmission died. The way Diana tucked her hair behind her ear when she read. I wanted to argue, to demand details, to run. Instead, I listened. "Have you crossed a line you can't uncross?" I asked. Diana stared at the oven light. "We've gone further than coffee. I'm not proud of it. But the truth is the change in me, the confidence, the energy, we felt at home too. You even said so. I wish it had come from somewhere else. I wish I could explain it better." She reached for my hand. I pulled mine back and set my napkin down like it weighed 1,000 pounds. "I need air," I said. Outside, the evening was brutally ordinary. Neighbors walking a dog, a kid learning to parallel park and tapping the curb. I sat on the front step until the porch light clicked on, automatic and different. I went back in, grabbed an overnight bag, threw in clothes without seeing them. Diana didn't block the door. She didn't cry with theater. She just whispered, "Please don't leave like this." "I'm not the one who left," I said, and closed the door gently because anger doesn't get to decide whether I have manners. I checked into a cheap apartment hotel on the edge of downtown. The carpet smelled like someone else's decisions. In that dim kitchen, I wrote down 2 lists. What I know and what I won't do. I know. She told me. It's not a rumor. I won't scream, threaten, or turn our life into a bonfire for spectators. If I end this, it will be clean. If I fight for it, it will be honest. At 3 in the morning, I called a lawyer. I expected lecture or pity. I got clarity. Document everything. Step away from shared accounts for discretionary spending. If you stay in the house, use a separate bedroom. Record any important conversations. Don't destroy property. Don't post online. Decide what outcome you can live with, and move toward it like it's your job. I didn't sleep, but I had a job. I met Diana at a marketing firm where I was the overeager grad school intern. She dropped off copy for the education campaign we were running. Red pen, clean margins, tired eyes. She had 2 little kids and an ex who had vanished on responsibility like it was a speeding ticket he had no intention of paying. My parents didn't understand why I fell for a woman 7 years older with 2 children and a spine of steel. I didn't ask them to understand. I asked Diana to dinner after my graduation. She said yes like the word frightened her a little. We had a courthouse wedding with a sprig of baby's breath and a pastry box from a bakery that spelled my name Logan. My parents took a while to come around. Kelsey came around the second I fixed her wobbly bike seat and showed up to every school play. Aiden let me in 1 Lego at a time. Our life was unglamorous and golden. Diana graded papers at the kitchen table. I built a career that finally felt like more than a series of business cards. We got good at being tired together, at choosing small kindnesses when there was nothing left in the tank. We had a rule. If you were mad, you said it without poison. If you were wrong, you said so without delay. For 2 decades, it worked. And then a teacher workday and an athletic department hire put a new name in Diana's stories. Coach Vance. At first, it was small, an anecdote about a kid who shaved 5 seconds off a sprint, how the coach had a goofy superstition about lucky socks. Then there were more river trail walks in her descriptions, more coffee runs, more giggles at texts where I didn't get the joke. When she confessed, the ordinary details were suddenly coordinates. I could see the map of how. A shared hallway, a compliment she needed on a day the mirror didn't cooperate, a late meeting that felt like energy instead of duty. I didn't need salacious scenes. I was not a detective trying to draw floor plans. What I needed was respect, and the path to either repair or exit. On Monday, I went home to talk. Diana was cooking like nothing seismic had moved beneath our street. She set a plate down, moved as if to kiss my cheek, and I stepped back. I'm meeting an attorney, I said. I'll sleep in the guest room until I find a rental. Please don't ambush me with conversations. If you want to talk, text so I can record. Her face shifted, hurt, hardening, hurt again. You'd record me? I'm protecting both of us from twisted recollections. I won't lie about you. Don't lie about me. That night, I carried my suitcase down the hall to the guest room with the soft blue quilt Kelsey picked in 8th grade. I opened a notes app and wrote new rules. Separate accounts, separate laundry, separate bathrooms. The house, once choreographed, suddenly had lanes. The next morning on my routine neighborhood walk, a shadow stepped into my path. A 30-something guy with a runner's build and a face that had never had to choose between charming and smug. Mr. Reed? Logan? I'm Tyler. Can we talk for 5 minutes? He used the voice people use on skittish dogs and angry customers. I nodded because I wasn't giving the neighbors a show. We never meant to hurt you, he said, soft and practiced. Diana speaks so highly of you. You raised her kids. You're a good man. This isn't about replacing you. It's seasonal. She's rediscovering herself. She loves you. Please don't blow up your lives over a temporary. I held up a hand. Stop. You're not a counselor. You're a man who crossed into my marriage. I don't need your reassurance or your sales pitch. He blinked, geared down, tried again. It doesn't have to end your marriage. Lots of couples. It ends mine, I said. I don't share what asks for my vows. His mouth opened and closed. I stepped to the right and continued my walk. By Friday, I had a lease on a small apartment with thin walls and a decent view of a diner sign. I moved out in one trip with a rental truck and a neighbor who didn't ask questions. Diana stood on the porch with her arms crossed like she was cold and couldn't admit it. We should talk logistics, she said. And we will, I replied. With counsel. She nodded, a beat too late to look like consent rather than defeat. You'll regret overreacting. I wanted to say I'd regret the years I didn't get to spend in peace, not the weeks I spent dismantling a pretty lie. But I saved it. Words are arrows. You don't shoot them to hear the twang. My lawyer, Angela Park, relentless and kind, gave me a checklist. Lock your credit, pull bank statements, note every conversation. Don't sleepwalk through the next 30 days. This isn't about punishing her, Angela said. It's about protecting your future. If you want punitive, a judge won't be your instrument. Focus on clarity. I focused like it was my job. I set up a separate P.O. box. I moved my direct deposit. I told HR privately, because I didn't want rumors doing my talking. I sent Diana a courteous, clinical text. All communications go through counsel unless scheduling logistics. She replied with a thumbs up. Anna, can we do coffee to talk like people? I took a screenshot and forwarded it to Angela. I also did something I never imagined doing. I wrote Kelsey and Aiden a short, careful message. Your mom and I are separating. It's not your burden to carry. I love you. When you're ready to talk, I'll answer what I can without asking you to choose sides. Kelsey called first, voice trembling, then furious, then tender. Aiden sent a single-line text. I'm with you. Then silence, the kind that has weight. Diana tried to steer the narrative. Of course she did. In a meeting at a cafe, public, bright, with my phone on the table recording, she started with, "This doesn't have to be a war." It won't be, I said. War takes two. She twisted her ring, a tiny tick I'd always found adorable. It looked different now. You're really ending it? Over something I told you about? No, I said, steady. I'm ending it because you asked me to become someone who could nod and say, carry on when you put us third. She blinked tears back. I'm sorry I hurt you. I waited. If there was a sentence after that, and I'm stopping, and I'll fix what I broke, I didn't interrupt it. It didn't come. Apologies without decisions are weather reports. I'm not leaving my roof open to the forecast. The school district has policies, professional conduct, conflicts of interest, expectations of staff who mentor students. I didn't write those policies. I didn't threaten anyone. I did submit a formal, factual complaint to the district's HR about a relationship between a coach and a teacher on the same campus that, by their own handbook, created a perceived conflict and had spilled into the school community. I attached nothing graphic, nothing ugly. Only the time-stamped text where Diana herself had described sneaking out of meetings to cool off and walk it off with tea. I used no adjectives. I let the facts do their work. Even then, I didn't root for her to lose her job. Truth, I rooted for consequences that match choices. Adults can want two things at once, grace and accountability, and live with whichever one arrives. The district placed both on administrative leave pending review. The board bristled when parents called, not because of moral outrage, but because of optics and trust. Tyler resigned before they finished typing investigation. Diana hired a union rep and cried in a parked car where nobody could see. Meanwhile, Angela filed a divorce petition. No harassment. No scorched earth. We requested the house be sold and proceeds split evenly. Diana's lawyer countered with, she keeps the house because it was a home she curated. Angela responded with a single line, I will frame someday. Sentiment does not pay a mortgage. We offered a clean sale, no spousal support either way. Each keeps retirement as is. Predictable dance. Heavy shoes. Here's where people expect a scene. Me catching them somewhere. Me exploding. That wasn't my revenge. Rage is loud and short-lived. I wanted something quiet and permanent. A life without lies. And an agreement that reflected what I'd built. So I chose a different stage. Diana showed up in my office cafeteria a week later, red-eyed, trembling, but not apologetic. You did this, she hissed. You cost me my classroom. I set my coffee down and, in a voice that carried just enough, said, I refuse to rewrite the definition of marriage on the fly. That's all. Heads turned. Not gleeful ones. Wearied ones. She opened her mouth, searching for a sentence that would make me the villain. The sentence didn't come. She left. The whispering in her wake wasn't gossip. It was a reminder that air gets thin where truth is scarce. At night in the tiny apartment, I learned how to be a person alone. I bought a single frying pan that didn't tilt. I ran 3 miles instead of scrolling. I read the book Diana had been praising for months and underlined the sentences about integrity like they were instructions. Healing didn't feel like triumph. It felt like breathing through a paper bag until the room stopped tilting. If you want to know how the person who cheated takes revenge, it rarely looks clever. It looks like leverage. Diana's revised settlement demand arrived by email on a Wednesday at 4:12 p.m., right when people are too tired to throw anything. She wanted the house, full stop. Also a bigger slice of investments due to emotional contributions. Reading it, you'd think I'd been a boarder in my own life. Angela called before I could fire off a reply I'd regret. We can counter with a sale, or, if she insists on keeping the house, a buyout at market price, plus an offset for any separate property you put in. Remember your grandfather's small inheritance? I did. A down payment check from a man who believed in paying off what you owe. If she declines, the judge will see we offered fair. Diana also tried a softer kind of revenge, the narrative. I heard from a mutual friend that she told colleagues I'd abandoned her over a midlife wobble. I didn't correct every room. I told the kids the truth. I told the lawyers the facts. I let the rest of the world have its opinions at a distance where they couldn't bruise me. Kelsey called one night and cried hard into the phone, the kind of crying that turns a grown woman back into the kid who once scraped both knees. I don't know how to love both of you in this, she said. You don't have to choose, I told her. You only have to keep your own heart honest. Don't lie for either of us. If people need you to lie to be comfortable around them, that's not love. That's theater. Aiden went quiet for a while. The silence worried me more than any shouted argument could have. Then he knocked on my apartment door on a Saturday afternoon, stepped in, closed it behind him, and hugged me like he was anchoring us both to the floor. He didn't need explanations. He needed a place where the story didn't require him to look away. November brought an empty calendar and a holiday that could have been cruel. Diana planned a big dinner in the old house. Nobody showed. At noon, Kelsey texted, "Can I bring takeout? I don't want to sit in that kitchen." She arrived with containers that steamed the windows and a tentative smile. We didn't make speeches. We watched football we didn't care about and ate stuffing straight from the carton because plates felt too formal for this kind of mercy. Later, Aiden came by too. He didn't say much, but when he left, he put the apartment key on his own keyring. A small sound, the metal joining the rest, felt like a vow. Meanwhile, HR finished its review. Officially, they didn't find policy violations severe enough to bar Diana from ever teaching again. Unofficially, the district restructured her position. Reassignment, they called it. It wasn't exile. It wasn't triumph. It was consequences, modest and clarifying. The house listing went live the week after. Showings were brisk, good school zone, updated kitchen, paint color named something whimsical. We accepted an offer above asking. Diana asked, one more time, to keep it and pay me out slowly. Angela smiled into the phone in a way that sounded like a raised eyebrow and said, lump sum or sale. No half measures. We chose finality over softness. I didn't spike any footballs. I went to bed early and woke up early, because that's what a life rebuilding itself does. The turn came not with a fiery courtroom monologue, but with a binder. Angela slid it across the conference table at mediation. Here's the timeline of earnings, of contributions. Here's the paper trail for your separate inheritance check that went into the down payment. Here's every mutual fund statement annotated. Facts, not fireworks. Diana arrived in a blazer that used to mean game on in parent-teacher nights. She looked like she'd slept 3 hours for 3 months. Her lawyer made a pitch about equity in the spiritual sense. Angela responded with equity in the mathematical sense. Numbers don't flinch. Then Angela did a thing I'll remember long after the ink dries. She played a 30-second clip from my recorded cafe conversation with Diana. Not to humiliate her, to clarify intent. In the clip, Diana says, "I'm sorry I hurt you." She doesn't say she'll stop. She doesn't ask for counseling. The mediator paused the audio and looked at both of us. "Do you hear how different those two kinds of sorry are?" he asked gently. Diana bowed her head. I felt something in my chest loosen. Not vindication, just the relief of having the truth visible to someone besides me. We settled clean. The house sale proceeds split evenly. No spousal support. Each keeps retirement accounts and personal property. Diana keeps the newer car. I keep my truck with a dent for moving Kelsey into her freshman dorm. We signed. No one clapped. What about Tyler? He left the district for a private training gig across town. I didn't text him. I didn't call his employer. My revenge was not ruining his life. It was refusing to let him ruin mine. I did, however, send a single-page letter to the Athletic Association summarizing why I believe better guardrails would help everyone, coaches, teachers, students. Not a complaint, a suggestion. Policy, not payback. And because stories don't end with paperwork, here's the part one didn't know I'd need. I wrote myself a promise. It wasn't lofty. It fit on a sticky note. Never choose the short relief of bitterness over the long relief of dignity. I stuck it on my bathroom mirror, where a different life started brushing its teeth. A month later, Diana tried one last public counterpunch. She walked into my office cafeteria at lunch, cheeks blotchy, voice trembling with something bigger than anger. "You'll tell everyone, won't you? That you're the hero and I'm..." She couldn't finish the sentence. I stood, not towering, just present. "I'm not the hero," I said, loud enough for only the two nearest tables to hear. "I'm the man who refused to make peace with something that hurt the people I love. That's all." Somebody across the room dropped a fork. The ordinary sound made the moment human again. Diana's eyes filled. She left without dramatic exits. Just a quick step, a door opening, a door closing. If there's a version of revenge that isn't cruel, it's this. Letting the truth stand up without you holding it by the throat. Kelsey and Aiden brought me houseplants for the new place. A small craftsman on a quiet street, where the porch gets morning sun. We made spaghetti on the first night, oversalted it, and laughed until we had to sit down. They asked me if I'd ever forgive their mom. I said forgiveness isn't a performance, and it isn't a ladder. It's a door I'll open when I'm ready, not a prize she can demand. Until then, I'll be kind from distance. What did I learn? That love without boundaries isn't kinder, it's hungrier. That telling the truth isn't a weapon unless you swing it like one. That you can walk away without turning your back on the years that were good. That a man can be both devastated and decent. On a Sunday morning in the new house, I made pancakes that were more ambition than skill. The coffee machine sputtered like an old friend trying to sing. Sun warmed the table. For the first time in months, I didn't feel like I was rehearsing a statement for a future argument. I was just a man eating breakfast, grateful for the quiet. And that, though it never trends, is the strongest revenge I know. A life rebuilt so well it doesn't need an audience.